All right, welcome back to Mastering Risk Podcast. I am your host, Dr. D. Today, we are going to talk about the 3 things you can do to mitigate risk for you and your company. These things are easy, they're free, and they're coming at you. So grab yourself your favorite beverage. Let's get at it. All right, thanks again for joining us. Listen, we appreciate all of your feedback that continues to come in. Drop over to our website, preparednesslabs.ca. You'll find the link to the audio portion of the podcast, all of our social media feeds. You'll find our roadmap to resilience, which is our 5-part free series. For those of you interested in how do I begin to understand resilience, adopt preparedness in my life, and be a little bit more ready for the punches upside the head that the 2020s keeps giving each and every one of us. That's all free over at the website. You don't have to do anything. I don't know you're there. You don't have to leave me your email. If you go up the top of the website and you click on catalog, there's a bunch of free products that we offer as well. Our 4-step guide to household preparedness is free. We've got 4 issues of the Journal of Preparedness in Canada, which is our formal semi-academic, semi-peer-reviewed publication that the company puts out every year. It's all there free of charge, and then we've got some paid products that we'll talk about later. But today what we want to talk about is if you're sitting back and you're looking in the mirror and say, what can I do? I don't want to, in the beginning, I don't want to spend any money, or I don't have any money, or whatever your situation is. What can free get me? What can free help me? I've got this Etsy store. I've got this small, medium business. I've got an idea, or I'm selling some digital products online. Or I'm selling a course online, but I'm getting all of these invites are coming into my inbox about crazy ideas. I want to help you. Your SEO is off. I don't know what's spam. I don't know what is good. How do I protect that? And how do I generally get ready? Well, today we're going to talk about the 3 things that you can do that are absolutely, unquestionably free of charge. So let's do it. All right, number 1, it's you. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but everything starts with personal responsibility in adopting preparedness as a way of life, or as a lifestyle, or adopting risk and mastering risk within your business. It starts with you. So there are 3 things that you can do individually that collectively make up what the first thing you can do is take care of your physical, mental, and financial health. So first of all is your physical health, which is made up of your diet, sleep, and exercise. I'm not going to go into a long, drawn-out campaign of how often you should exercise, what you should eat, how often you should sleep. It's a very simple recipe for the human animal. Eat food. That means it doesn't have an ingredient list, right? Food doesn't have an ingredient list. If your food has a label, it should be a warning label. Exercise. The human body, from an anthropological point of view, from a movement point of view, was designed to do 3 things, basically. Walk long distances, so to be able to walk a couple of hours at a time. To be able to periodically carry heavy things, so pick up large, heavy objects and move them from A to B. And then to be able to sprint on demand for short periods of time. That's what the human body was designed to do. So move. You are designed to move. You're an animal that's not designed to be sedentary. So health begins when you move, and health begins when you eat food, like actual food, not a manufactured good. The last one is sleep. All kinds of sleep science out there. I'm not a sleep scientist. I'm not a doctor of sleep medicine. But if you don't get sleep, your body can't repair and prepare for the next day. Lots of strategies. If you have challenges with sleep, you need to solve that. Find the great information. The internet's full of free, excellent information. Careful of your source. So if you do that in the beginning and you take care of your physical self, right? It's a transformational experience. It takes time. Nothing is overnight. You're going from A to B. A may be 80 pounds overweight and totally out of breath climbing a set of stairs, but you got to start that journey. Because again, you can't run a company. You can't take care of a family. You can't be that stalwart community voice if you physically can't muster up the energy and navigate the challenges that are put in front of you. The second is mental health. Mental health is influenced by physical health, which is why we talk about physical health first. The number one treatment for depression across all the literature is exercise and movement and time outdoors. Full stop. Better than therapy, better than pills, better than whatever other strategy you may want to take. But take care of your mental health, which means the way we look at it, and I've written about this in my book, Preparedness Book 1, Simplified the Beginning, that's available on our website at preparednesslabs.ca. We talk about understanding that it's up to you and nobody's coming to save you. It's up to you to reduce your anxiety in life, reduce the stress. Figure out those things that cause you stress and eliminate what you can. Yeah, we all got to go to work at some place. We get jerk bosses. We can't eliminate all the all of the stress in our life, but we most certainly can make some changes with the people we allow. There's something I try to tell my kids is it is a privilege to be in a relationship with you, and if somebody is actively violating that privilege by bringing more stress, on balance, they're more stressful than helpful, then you wish them the best of luck. This isn't the Walmart thing of firing somebody and sending them out. This is just saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to answer your texts anymore. And the hardest thing is sometimes this may be a family member, a close, immediate family member that you simply have to let go. Can you fire your parents? Yeah, absolutely. If they're on balance giving you stress, then yeah, you just need to fire your parents. I know it sounds strange, but when you look at all of the people in your life, and you look at all the sources of your stress, it is up to you to determine which ones are by choice and to hand those the exit sign and wish them a best of luck. As well as your calendar, have free time, take care of yourself. If you take care of your physical health, your mental health improves. If you get rid of as much toxicity out of your life as you can, your mental health improves. And then your financial health, which is usually the last of the three, follows suit. You know, it's that old saying, if you spend less than you earn, you'll never need savings, right? Something my grandfather always taught me is never, ever spend more than 80% of your paycheck. And it meant if I made $1,000 in a month, the maximum I could spend was $800. It doesn't matter what's out there. It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter what your kids want. It doesn't matter what activities your kids want to be in. None of that matters. Never spend more than 80% of what you make, and you'll be fine. You want more money? There's only two ways to do it. And financial independence is very, very simple. You either have to make more or you have to spend less. Those are your only two choices. Pick which poison you want, and you got to go after it. It's that simple. There's lots of great books on financial management. Some believe in the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. These people live off 20 to 25% of their income. So if they make $1,000 a month, they only spend $250 and they invest $750. They're going to do that until they're about 32 and never have to work another day in their life. There are people that follow the wealthy barber's ideas. There are people that follow all kinds of great writers. The point is, put your physical self on a plan for health. Put your mental self on a plan for health, and put your financial self on the plan for health. Those are all free. All the information to do that and all the equipment you need to do that is absolutely free. And it's available online from stalwart, intelligent people. If you want to know the great sources, drop me an email at jeff@preparednesslabs.ca, and I can direct you to the sources that I trust and the sources that I believe are the best to help you. But find that out. That's your number one thing you can do if you are a small, medium, and business owner, or you're somebody just concerned about risk. That's it. Get control of yourself, right? It's up to you. It's not anybody else's responsibility to fix you, and it's not anybody else's responsibility to come save you or pay your bills. That's yours. So it's a simple thing, but it's a difficult thing. Set it on a plan. None of this gets fixed overnight. Some of us have buried ourselves in years of debt, and it's going to take a while to get out of. Some of us have 50 to 60 extra pounds that need to go. So it's not going to happen overnight. Some of us are very stressed and we need to work on that. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's up to you to move that forward. So that's number one thing you can do. The second thing is understanding the environment in which you live. And what I mean by that is the rules of the game of human existence in the country you choose to live. So if you're in a country, and we have podcast listeners and people watching our YouTube videos from around the world. So if you're in a country where you have the freedom to emigrate, which is to leave to go to another country, then you are agreeing, by staying in the country you're in, you are agreeing to play by the rules. The rules are set by our politicians and our lead economists. So think of the governor of the central bank, think of the politicians. And guess what? If you're in a democracy like I am, you don't have to like the prime minister or the president. Frankly, nobody cares whether you do or not. They were elected legally by a system that exists, and they're in power. You may not like them. Your person's in power, the next election, the other person's in power, and we may go back and forth. These people set the rules of the game. The key to being successful as a human being and as a small and medium business owner is to understand the rules of the game as they're set out, not whether you agree with them. Again, I return to this point regularly in a lot of my work. I don't care if you agree with the rules. Frankly, nobody cares if you agree with the rules. The way to success is to understand the rules. It's like when you see billionaires get in front of you, the U.S. Congress, and they're like, did you use this tax loophole? Well, of course I did. You know, it's like Donald Trump in the first debate that he had with Hillary Clinton before his first election victory, and he was asked by the moderator whether he used these loopholes to reduce his taxes, and he said, absolutely I did. And so did Hillary's friends, right? It's understanding the legal rules that are available to you in finance and at political and economic, right? So if you operate like I do, a digital online service-based industry that's grounded and legally registered in the country of Canada, it is my responsibility to know inside and out the rules of owning and running a company in Canada, my legal reporting requirements, the extent to which I can use tax write-offs, etc., and things that I can't use tax write-offs for, what documentation I have to keep, and then what rules are on the market in which I want to play. What are the rules that I have to abide by when I sell a product to an American over the internet, or to somebody from Switzerland over the internet, or somebody signs up for my services from New Zealand or Australia? What are the rules of the game? And I say that because more times than not, small business owners run into trouble because they violate a rule they didn't know existed, because they didn't take the time or weren't aware of the rules that govern the space in which they operate. Yeah, it takes a little bit of work. Nobody's written the single hand page booklet, go here and here are all the rules related to owning a small business in Canada of under $1 million cap with 2 to 10 employees. Go here and press this button and download it. That doesn't exist. It's a bit of an adventure. It takes a community and a group of people, but it's a bit of an adventure for you to find. But understanding the rules of the game, understanding how companies operate, how they're set up, and how things work is what matters. However, also understanding what other people are doing and what other companies are thinking about requires a bit of community involvement. And the second part of knowing the rules of the game is play along with everybody else. And what I mean like that is, if you remember the old adage of a wolf pack thrives and the lone wolf perishes, your thought process that you're going to do this independently, you're not going to ask for advice, you're going to charge through and you're going to make this happen all on your own, the probability that you're missing pieces or missing some rules of the game grows up with time, right? It's positively correlated with the amount of time you hash through the maze all on your own without seeking any advice. You need to be a member of a community of other small business owners, even if some of them in there may be competitors, who are all navigating this political and economic minefield that we find ourselves in, and business rules and international rules and tariff rules and cross-border information rules and sharing information rules and new pending legislation in different countries about online security, etc. Create and find yourself a pool, a community of people who think like you, who are doing the SMB business, who are starting a business, and who are going out and thinking about it. Because understanding the rules of the game sets the rules going forward. It's why in sports teams, every single one of the golfers on the PGA Tour know all of those ridiculous little rules in the rule book because they understand what they're allowed to do. They want to do something, whether it's an unplayable lie or something like that, but they understand all the rules of the game because to be successful, they have to be able to leverage the rules, not just abide by them. So it's crystal clear. So if you think about it at this point, we've said the first thing you can do is take care of your physical, mental, and financial self. Get you as robust and healthy as you possibly can to get ready to take on the world. And then if you're going to take on the world, you step out into the environment. But when you step out into the environment, you better know the rules of the game. Political and economic leaders, advisors, overseers, call them what you will set rules in which you're allowed to play the game. Violating those rules can cost you big time and is rarely ever going to be worth it. So understanding it and doing it within a community of other like-minded small and medium business owners or entrepreneurs or solo entrepreneurs, depending on what lane you've chosen, is going to give you exponential results because you are thinking in a room full of people who think like you and exchanging ideas. And this happens. And I've said this all the time. You don't know what you don't know, but the dry cleaner owner and the auto repair shop do because they've made those two errors over the last 5 years that you may be stepping into, but without having these conversations or access to other business owners. That's the important. Small business networks, and I don't mean the one that just get together for cocktails and exchange business card once a month. I mean the ones who are actively creating the space for you to gather, communicate, and exchange ideas. That is your critical piece for success. Your third one, though, is now understanding your keys to success. And where we look at this from a risk and preparedness perspective is your access to, reliance on, and dependency on critical infrastructure. So if you think about the world around you, this modern technologically enabled society in which we live, if you think of all of the systems when you got up this morning that you're making the assumption when you flip the switch it works. It could be the light, it could be the toilet when you flush, it could be the gas line when you turn on your burner to make your eggs in the morning. It's your cell phone when you open up. You just are assuming the cell network is there. You're assuming your phone will wake up and say hi and let's get after it. You're assuming the light will go on. And if you think across the myriad of systems that keep this, I live in the city of Ottawa, there's 1 million plus people here, and you think of all the systems that have to work right and correctly every time for this city to work. When you start taking the time, and this is a time and effort, it doesn't cost any money, but it's a time and effort process of looking at the 10 sectors of critical infrastructure. Here in Canada, we classify them as 10. In the United States, there's 16. In some jurisdictions, they're being called lifelines, but those two names can be exchanged, critical infrastructure or lifelines. When you start to look at your life and your small and medium business, your solo entrepreneurial, it could just be an Etsy store. What is your reliance on pieces of critical infrastructure? So your access to internet. If you're like me and you run a digital services consulting style advice business online, selling products to people around the world, I am heavily reliant on the critical infrastructure of cellular and communication networks. So if I want to be resilient, if I want to increase my resilience, then I need to know what my strategy is when I no longer have access to my provider. When my internet provider goes down, is my plan to simply wait for it to pop back up? Or do I need a strategy to jump in? Now, for me, I can wait up to 48, 72 hours for my business and I'll be okay. Other people, because of the real-time interchange of what they do, their downtime of a couple of minutes can be catastrophic to their business. How your business works Again, going back to the rules of the game in which you're operating, now looking at the elements of critical infrastructure that you're exposed to and dependent on, you start to see where the poop can hit the fan. When things go sideways, or we used to say in the Army, when the world goes pear-shaped, what are you dependent on? What falls and will cause you difficulty, etc.? We have transportation systems, manufacturing, government, financial services. If you have a small store and you use a Square payment processor, what happens when the power goes out or the internet goes down? Or what about if Square goes down? I remember talking to a wonderful individual who had a print-on-demand business using a Shopify store, using the print-on-demand app, and were printing T-shirts and mugs and various other things. And what happened is one of their stores went down. And the strategy was, okay, you just use another store, right? Well, here's the difficulty. Remember that environment? We're living in a political environment where cross-border shipping between Canada and the U.S., forget our mail strike, but the Canada-U.S. shipping problem is pretty significant right now for small and medium business owners. So she, being incredibly intelligent as she is, went forward and said, okay, my American orders are going to be printed on American soil and shipped internal to America. My Canadian orders are only going to be printed by companies in Canada and shipped within Canada. Right? Now, if you're into the print and demand business, you know not everybody has the same wide spectrum. So to understand the rules of the game, she had to lessen the number of colors and styles that were available to accommodate this strategy. But what that strategy did for her is it didn't really matter the conundrum and other words you may choose to use for it, the bleep show, that is the tariff on our borders back and forth. She insulated her business from both because she understood the rules of the game, how to operate on both sides. Her problem raised is that the number of print-on-demand companies in the U.S. is exponentially greater than the number in Canada. And when one went down in Canada, it was difficult to find another one. Not impossible, but difficult. So she faced an interesting situation where she now understands that she knows in every country she operates, she has her primary and she has already picked out a secondary. And she periodically will direct a few pieces of business to the secondary to make sure that they're shipping and their ability and they're still operating. So she not only has a strategy to understand the political and economic environment in which she's in, but she now has a strategy for first and second tier suppliers in case one of them goes down and an interruption. So this is understanding the business in which she operates, but also understanding the pieces of critical infrastructure. If this company goes down, they could have lost power. There could have been a tornado that took out their warehouse. Any number of things could happen anywhere. So she built operational risk. And this is what we talk about in our business. So we're going to take a pause here. We're going to talk about at Preparedness Labs Incorporated, we offer something called Mastering Risk, the Community. And what it is it's a place for fractional ownership of business continuity, risk management, and other business coaching and supply chain risk expertise where we offer fractional ownership. And this simply means is that you're buying a small piece of a human being to get regular flows of up-to-date, ongoing information, the latest and greatest. You get weekly videos about some operational, cyber, reputational, or strategic risk. You get regular information in your inbox, and then you can consume it at a time or place of your choosing. We offer it in detail and long format, depending on the amount of time you have. And then once a month, we have a 90-minute live Q&A with myself and some other experts if they're applicable to the topic we're talking about. We'll bring in outside experts, and this is all included in one monthly subscription price and a fraction of what it would cost you to get a single risk management or business continuity consultant in to give you a plan for your business. So drop over to preparednesslabs.ca and check out our Mastering Risk, the Community. All right, so now that we're back at this awesome juncture, We've talked about getting yourself together, getting yourself and heading down that right way, and getting yourself situated best with your physical, financial, and mental health. We talked about understanding the rules of the game in which you and your business operate. And we've talked a bit about the critical infrastructure. Again, when you go over to if you go over to our YouTube channel, it's at Mastering Risk. The roadmap to resilience is there as a playlist. And the first one talks about all of the different segments of critical infrastructure. So it's there in very finite detail about what it looks like, how difficult it is, what exactly part of a critical infrastructure, and it gets you thinking. It gets you understanding what could go wrong, what are you dependent on, and if something goes wrong, what do you think you'd like to do about it? And like I said, if I lose power, if I lose access to the cell network, my business is okay. It can pause for a day or two. It won't cause any significant harm. However, if I own a storefront where people are physically coming and going, I need that power. And if I lose a payment provider, am I ready at that spot to start taking cash? Because cash is a whole bunch of complications on top of security issues if I show up with cash. So very much the issue that we have is that people and generally don't understand their exposure to and dependency on critical infrastructure, and therefore the risk that they're blindly assuming. The idea about mastering risk is not that we take it to zero because we can't, but that we take the time to understand the totality of the risk we're exposed to because we chose to do this type of business in this type of environment. And then we methodically go through and figure out ways to adapt to it, to address it, to get it into an acceptable level, and to mitigate it to the extent we can. Now, like I said, it can cost $5,000 to $8,000 for an SMB to get a business continuity plan. It can cost up to $20,000 to get a risk management professional in. And these are costs that the vast majority of SMB owners simply don't have, or they have very small disposable room, shall we say, in their working capital flow. So what we're offering you is if you subscribe to this channel, subscribe to everything on our social media feeds, we offer this once or twice a week video talking about the keys to risk management in a small, medium, and business. We put out near 400 pieces of content a week. Drop over to our website at preparednesslabs.ca where we have all of our material laid out. And when you see the value in what we do, and when you realize that the information in detail that we could offer you would be greatly helpful, jump over to preparednesslabs.ca and sign up for the Mastering Risk community. It's a monthly subscription. Join up. Anytime you want to withdraw, you just stop, cancel your subscription. You get to keep access to absolutely everything. And for a very short period of time, we're offering free a $300 value access to Mastering Risk, the course. It's a 7-video series that goes you the detailed how to master risk. We used to offer it at $300. We're now including it free of charge with your monthly subscription at Mastering Risk, the community. So thanks for listening. Take care. Stay safe. See you next time.